What's up everyone? My name is Matthew, and hopefully when this video releases, it's not too late.
I don't know.
But, since the year is now 2026, I wanted to maybe take some time and go over my top albums from 2025. But before we get into that, let me give an honorable mention to Magdalena Bay for their set of singles released under the Nice Day collection. If you don't know, it's like 4 sets of singles that each have 2 songs that they released over like a period of time. I wouldn't call it experimental, but it's definitely kind of challenging what we kind of expect from, I guess, their sound, especially on Original and Black Eyed Susan Climb. Those are the 5th and 6th tracks. The reason why it's not on the list is because it's not an album. So at number 5, we have I Love My Computer by Nina Geraci, which is an electro house album that never lets up on its energy. It's an album I feel is best experienced as an album, if that makes sense.
No.
Because of its seamless transitions and the overall fluidity of each track. The songs are very bouncy, which I like, and in iPod Touch, the chorus is very, very infectious, and throughout the album, there's other more vocally involved tracks like Delete and Info Hazard, which are great. But personally, I found myself more drawn to like the more like electronic stuff. For me, that would be CSIRAC, which has that noise drop.
Then came the noise.
And also Battery Death. I Love My Computer is definitely a must listen if you've liked any electronic music from like the past decade. So at number 4, I have Sister by Frost Children. It sounds like Brat, but if Charlie XCX was into the 2000s rave scene. I feel both albums are similar in that they have party moments, satisfying build-ups, and also very vulnerable moments. My favorite track on this album has to be What Is Forever For, just because I love how much like space it takes up in my headphones when I listen to it. There are plenty of other songs that do that for me. Take the first 3 tracks on this album, Position Famous, Electric, and Falling. I love how their voices blend in, and I also enjoy how Lulu delivers his lines. And I am so sad that I wasn't able to catch them in LA because I didn't listen to the album at that time, but just looking at clips online makes me kind of jealous. Now, the features could have been better. I don't know who Baby Morocco is, but I didn't like whatever he added, so that song's a skip.
Boo!
And as for the Kim Petras feature, it's alright.
I mean, it's alright, like...
I don't think she added much to the album. Overall, the album is filled with so many bangers that I can ignore those weirder parts. So moving out of the electronic genre for now, let's go into hip-hop with Clips's Let God Sort 'Em Out. The reason why I like this is just mainly because of how much I like the songs. I didn't really notice how much I liked it until I looked back at all the songs I had saved and realized I had like at least like the first 9 or 10 tracks in a row saved, which is a lot compared to what I usually save. The beats are pretty like cold and hard, and both Pusha T and Malice have great verses. But before I glaze the two, let's talk about some of the features. I especially liked Pharrell's verse in EBITDA in the very first maybe like 40 seconds. I liked Kendrick's verse on Chains and Whips, but I think everyone knows how good that verse was. And surprisingly, I liked the Tyler verse on POV.
Call me Mr. Brella, how I weather the storm. At 43 milli, I peel off like
Which is actually surprising because I am not really a fan of his music in general. I like the way his voice and tone kind of match the beat. But yeah, as I was saying, both Pusha and Malice have great flows. I especially liked in So Be It, Pusha's second verse, and I'll play it for you.
So be it. CLIP, SCFB, A-Ball LV.
And I liked Malice's verse on POV. I guess it was kind of satisfying how he was enunciating his words. And I don't want to call it highlights of an album because it kind of implies that there's like a significant like quality difference between those moments and throughout the album. I actually haven't listened to any of the previous clip stuff. I did listen to some Pusha T stuff, like Daytona, for example. But I'm definitely gonna look into more of their previous releases because like God's Tournament definitely piqued my interest, you know. And at number 2, we have Revenge Seekers by Jane Remover. When I first listened to it, it was maybe 2 months after its release, and I rated it like a 6 out of 10 because I just didn't get it. Again, this is like in like June or whatever, right? The reason why I was interested in this album in the first place was because Danny Brown was featured on it, so you know I had to tune in. Psycho Boost and JR were like instant bangers when I first listened to it. The way Danny enters that second verse is so extremely hype. Dancing with Your Eyes Closed is one of the most popular songs. I believe it actually is the most popular off the album. And I can see why it's so popular because it sounds the most accessible. But I mean, there are better songs on the album, like Angels in Camo and Dream Flasher, which has a very addictive chorus and that isolated, distorted bass section. I feel like the sleeper in this album, if you can consider it even a sleeper, is Professional Vengeance. I mean, it didn't even get a music video compared to a lot of the other tracks. I say it's a sleeper, even though I think it's like maybe the 4th most popular on Revenge Seekers. What I mean by that is I feel like it's not getting the attention it deserves. It's perfect from the beginning to the end. The first kind of melody that you hear kind of like, I guess, foreshadows the chorus. Every pause in the music is perfectly placed so that the entire track isn't too overwhelming. And that chorus is definitely the highest point on the entire album. Now, based on the artists that I've mentioned, I think that it's obvious as to what album is my number 1. I mean, I talked about a hip-hop album, I talked about some electronic albums, and the inclusion of Jane Remover and Frost Children. There's only one person that this can be. Tom McDanny Brown, my favorite rapper in the game right now, released his album Stardust in November, and I mean, I loved it ever since that day. Now, this might be a controversial pick, but again, this is based on my personal enjoyment, right? I think it's not as well received because the fan base that he has been, I guess, cultivating might not be into hyperpop, and the people who like hyperpop might not like his voice. So there isn't really like an overlap of people who like this type of stuff. But as someone who loves his voice, who loves experimental hip hop and hyperpop, this album was like hitting every single neuron in my brain. Stardust is, I guess, like the polar opposite of Atrocity Exhibition. I say that because it's so much more happier. It talks about getting off drugs, getting sober. Meanwhile, Atrocity Exhibition is the opposite. Now, Stardust has a very stacked list of features, maybe except for Right From Wrong. I didn't like that song, but all of the rest are very good. Quadeca is great. I love the singing in What You See because it felt very emotional. His production in the Book of Daniel, the opening track, added a lot. I like the drums at the very end, how it comes in after, and both tracks are very good. I can't help but smirk when listening to Starburst or 1999 with John Askis. And it's just funny how the beat is so wonky and so weird, but Danny is just absolutely killing it still. But the funniest beat has to be on Whatever the Case with Isbroki. There's some sound there that sounds like when you have like a thick piece of paper and you shake it and it makes like that wah, 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 wah sound. Both of the underscores tracks are so catchy. That would be Copycats and Baby. Danny's verse after the first chorus is paired with a heavenly beat. There are more vibey tracks like Lift You Up, which is a hip house track. I Love My Life with Femtanil is more intense. Now, Femtanil's vocals are kind of mixed quietly, but I'm assuming that it was supposed to be intentional and that it's supposed to sound like her vocals are being drowned out by a storm.
Check!
And we also get an 8-minute track called The End. It was actually separate tracks that were combined because Danny believed that it was kind of similar in like meaning. Stardust overall is just so fun and so in line with my taste that it was instantly my album of the year. So to anyone who skipped to the end just to see the results, here you go. At number 5 we have I Love My Computer by Nina Girachi. At 4 we have Sister by Frost Trojan. At number 3 we have Let God Sort 'Em Out by Eclipse. At 2 we have Revenge Seekers by Gin Remover. And at number 1 we have Stardust by Danny Brown. Thank you guys for watching, and I'm gonna try to actually post now, so stay tuned for more.